Good morning, all. Is my voice is audible? Can anyone reply? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Myself, Pramila from Relativity Management, compliance expert. So today I'm going to handle a session on Apprentice Act. Okay. So before dwelling into the subject, I want to have a brief introduction about relativity management. Okay, is my screen is visible to all? Can anyone confirm? My voice is audible. My screen is visible. Can anyone confirm? Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So we'll just have an introduction about the relativity. Okay, so in relativity, we have 16 years of service experience, and we handle more than 200 plus clients, and we are located at 1666 cities and serving 5 countries. And moreover, we are ISO certified, and we handle payroll records of more than 1 lakh records per month. And as of now, we have handled 12 lakh transactions per quarter, and with accuracy of 99.49%. And so far, we have issued Form 16, 5.73 lakhs of Form 16s has been issued. And the key point is the client retention is it is 99.69%. Okay. And few of our clients include Cisco, LG, Tata Elxsi, and a few mid-sized clients include Augusta, Vavicle, and Vertical. What we actually do is we do payroll processing, payroll compliance, TDS compliance, Leveler compliance, HRMS tool, compliance tool, HR consultation, and compliance audits, which include HR and payroll. Another payroll processing, we do payroll management and compliance, and we handle employee self-service tool also, and reimbursement and expenses management. And we do consultation and audit assistance also. And we help out in preparing generalized and standardized customized reports. And we do also offer help desk in case of requirement. And under the payroll compliance, we handle PF, ESI, PT, and Labor Welfare Fund and statutory filings. And we do consultation, and we do audit assistance too. And we have a smart operator tool wherein we handle different set of activities between the client and the end user. And we do offer help desk. And under tax compliance, we do QETD filings, correction filings, demands. If there is any demand notice is being issued, we used to handle that notice. And for Form 16A issuance and investment proof, we validate the investment proof. And we do to DDS audit and consultation and help desk. And under labor law compliance, we do maintain labor registers and documentations, and we do support in filing periodic reports in the government portal. We handle inspections, and we help support in handling the inspections and how to address notices and demand. And if any registrations and amendments are required, we do support in doing that also, and including CLRA registrations and POSH compliance and Apprenticeship Act. And if there is any legislative updates, we do provide support on that. HRMS tool, we do, under the HRMS tool, we do onboarding and core HR activities, leave management and attendance management, and payroll and performance management, and business expense claims like is submitting reimbursement bills and all, and finally exit management. So under the compliance tool, you can find compliance management, activity management, and reporting, and employee query management. If the employee has any query, we used to handle through this compliance tool, and liaising with the government officials that is being updated in this compliance tool. And automated alerts and reminders are being enabled. And we do provide compliance audit assistance and consultation. And we have a knowledge hub in the tool wherein you can have access to the latest legal updates and amendments. And we do provide help desk too. Okay. So under the Apprenticeship Act, what we do is what all the compliance which is required from the employer perspective that we have, we handle it. And we handle the portal for on behalf of the employers or the clients. And we used to file all the returns for all the stakeholders. When you say stakeholders, it includes both employer and the uh, apprentice. Okay. So coming to the subject, okay. So today we are going to see the Apprentice Act. So under the Act, we are going to see what all the just a brief introduction of the Act, okay. And under this Act, what are the obligations from the employer side, and how to comply under this Act, okay. And finally, we'll be seeing there are two different schemes under this Act. One is NAPS and one is NATS, okay. Uh, Divya, can you assist me in having this participants poll? So before getting into the what do you say, the session, I would like to understand like who are all the participants for this session. So we will be having a few questions. You can answer those questions. So we have a employee size of the company with a slab of 1 to 100, 100 to 250, and 250 to 500, and 500 to 1000, and more than 1000. Okay. And we would like to know like who are all the people who are attending either from HR background or payroll or compliance background, and the type of industry you represent. Okay, so we have three different types of questions. So I could see people with a head count of 1 to 100. I could see it's 17%, and between 100 to 250, 18, and 250 to 500, 24, and 500 to 1000, 13%, and above 100, sorry, above 1000, we have around 26%. And people from HR department, they are with the 65%, and with the payroll background, 24%, and from compliance background, 11%. And the type of industry, so from IT and ITES, we have around 39% of people. And from manufacturing background, we have a 35%. And from others, we have a 26% of people attending this session. So thank you all. Thank you all for participating in this poll. Divya, we are ending this poll. Yeah. So thank you. See, what is Apprentice Act? Okay, Apprentice Act is an act which regulates the engagement of apprentice. Like, okay, so there are a few compliances which the employer has to comply with before engaging or before selecting any individual as an apprentice. Okay, so this act regulates how an apprentice can be selected. There are few qualifications which the individual has to meet out before being selected as an apprentice. Okay, so once the apprentice is being selected, there are few norms like what is the working hours, what kind of training module the apprentice is being subjected to, and what is the minimum education qualification is required, and how long this training period can last, and what is the stipend the apprentice can be paid. Okay, so this act regulates all these terms and conditions, and apart from that, it helps us to understand what is the governing body for this act. Okay, so this is the act in a nutshell. Okay, so for whom this act is applicable? So the establishment which is having 30 or more employees, it is mandatory for them to comply under this act. Okay. And those establishment with a headcount between 4 to 29, it is voluntary. If they wish to comply with this act, it's well and good. They can come forward and comply with it. Okay. And those establishment having less than three, they are not permitted to comply with this act. Okay, so for a few reasons like infrastructure facilities or some other things. Okay, so these are all the, I mean, this is how the act is being applicable to an establishment. Okay, so the 30 or more, it is mandatory to comply with this act. So in and now the next question comes like how many apprentices we can engage. Okay, so that's why they have government has set a minimum percentage of 2.5 percentage from the total workforce to a maximum of 15 percentage of apprentice can be engaged by an establishment. Okay. So when we say apprenticeship training, there are two different types of training. One is basic training, another one is on the job training. Okay, so when we say basic training, this is mainly inculcated or imparted for those people who are very much fresher. They don't have any prior knowledge about handling any tools or machineries or equipments. So before being sending them out to the shop floor level, it is better to give them what do you say that theory class or instruction class with the lab support or something that so that they can handle the machineries at the shop floor. Okay, so overall, the 20 to 25% of the apprenticeship program is covered under the basic training program. Okay, and 50% of the stipend is also being prescribed for this basic training program. So essentially, those freshers which don't have any prior experience in handling any equipments or machineries, they are being given a classroom instructions. A theoretical class is being conducted before being subjected to for the on the job training. So on the job training, essentially, it is a practical training at the shop floor level. Okay, so along with the support of the instructor. So who is being exempted from providing from basic training is people who are holding an ITA or diploma holders or graduates who are passed out from the NSQF aligned courses. What is NSQF aligned courses? It's a national skill qualification framework. So they have set of courses under which people who have passed all these courses, they don't have to be given a classroom lecture before being inducted on the job training. So apprenticeship training includes basic training, that is classroom training, and on the job training. Okay. So what are the two types of trades which you can find out under this act is the government, they have listed down or they have notified, they have given a gazette notification that these are all the trades which they can conduct. Okay, that is being a training can be conducted by the employer. Okay, so these are all designated trades. This includes like trade, occupation, engineering, non-engineering, technical, technology, and vocational. Okay, so these are all gazetted notification by the central government, wherein the content of the course, everything is being approved and standardized. Okay, and optional trade is something which is not being listed down under the designated trade, wherein the employer, they themselves can create a customized training program based on their business requirement. Okay, so all the trade, occupation, engineering, non-engineering, technology, vocational, all these are being included under the optional trade. So essentially, designated trade is one that is being notified by the government, and the optional trade is one that is being customized as per the requirement by the employer. Okay, so one of the examples I have given below is like you can see that banking, insurance, electronics, all these are optional trades which the employer they can customize and provide training to the apprentice. So before, I mean, we would like to understand what are the key definitions. Okay, so I'm just reading out the definitions because I cannot change on my own. So graduate or technician apprentice is one who holds or is undergoing training in order that he may hold a degree or diploma in engineering or non-engineering or technology or equivalent qualification granted by any institution recognized by the government and undergoes apprenticeship training in any designated trade. Means like people who want to complete a diploma or degree in engineering course, they have to fulfill this training, and they can, once they do this, they can obtain this. They can obtain the degree or diploma in the designate after undergoing the apprenticeship training in the designated trade. Okay, and technician apprentice is one. Technician vocational apprentice means an apprentice who holds or is undergoing training in order that he may hold a certificate in vocational course involving 2 years of study after the completion of the secondary stage of school education recognized by the All India Council and undergoes apprenticeship training in any designated trade. Okay. So here, once the person comes out or pass out from the secondary school stages of school education, he can undergo this vocational training. After passing out that, after passing out this designated training, he can obtain this certificate in vocational course. So best example I would say is cosmetology, wherein a person can become a beautician or hairdresser. And trade apprentice. The trade apprentice is an apprentice who undergoes apprenticeship training in any designated trade. So that is called as trade apprentice. So we have seen three different type of apprentice. Okay, so who is the governing bodies under this act? Okay, under the central government, there are three different ministries which handle the what do you say, that the overall apprenticeship training. So what we can say is one ministry is what do you say, that they are there to frame the syllabus of the training program, and one ministry is there to provide skilled training to the apprentice. Another ministry is the Ministry of Labor, which helps them to support in getting the employment. Okay, so we have the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So under this ministry, we can see Directorate General of Training, and we have regional directorates of apprenticeship training, where it is located in different locations like Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta, and Kanpur. So we have 4 different regional directorate of apprenticeship training, and we have Central Apprenticeship Council and National Skill Development Corporation. Okay, so under this ministry, we can see these different government bodies. Okay, and under the Ministry of Education, we have NSAT. NSAT is a national scheme for apprenticeship training. Okay, so we have this NSAT, and we have Board of Apprenticeship Training or Practical Training. Okay, so this body will, what do you say, that approve the content of the training program. Okay, and Ministry of Labor, Director of Director General of Employment and Training. And under this ministry, we have a National Council for Vocational Training. Okay, and apart from this, appropriate state government and union territories also, they have what they call as a state apprenticeship advisors. Okay, so this is the governing bodies which regulate the apprenticeship training, wherein their role is essentially to frame the to notify the designated trades, and what would be the content of the apprenticeship training for the designated trades, how many hours has to be there for lecture, and how many hours for to be the practical training, what all the what type of test has to be conducted for the apprenticeship to undergo, what is the how the assessment has to be made, and how the apprentice can be placed. Okay, and they have to certify the apprenticeship once they have passed on the apprenticeship training. Okay, these are all the set of these, these things is being handled by the all these regulatory bodies. Okay, and there are few, the chances are that there may dispute may arise between the employer and the apprentice. So in that case, they have to take the advice from the appropriate state apprenticeship advisors. Okay, so this is the governing bodies for this Apprenticeship Act. Okay, so how to select an apprentice in an establishment? Okay, there are few conditions which the employer has to follow before selecting an apprentice in the establishment. Okay, so the foremost requirement is the educational qualification. Okay, so the trade apprentice, they have to fulfill this educational qualification as prescribed by the government. Okay, so I'm just giving an example of one trade. Hope my screen is visible. So if you could look at this trade, this is building and furniture trade group. Okay, so this is one designated trade. So under this, we can find the carpenter and plumber and mason. That list goes on. Okay, so for a carpenter to have a training, he should possess the minimum education qualification. Should pass 8th class examination and a 10+2 system of education or its equivalent. Okay, past 7th class, where terminal examination is in 7th class. So this is how for each trade that or the education qualification is being prescribed, wherein if the employer has to decide and select a carpenter, this person has to fulfill this education qualification. Okay. And same goes for graduate apprentice, technician apprentice, and vocational technician apprentice also. So they have a different set of educational qualification, which is being prescribed under the Schedule 1A. So if you could see the graduate apprentice, the minimum education qualification that is being sought is a degree in engineering or technology by what do you say, that approved university. Okay. And technician apprentice, he or she should hold a diploma in engineering or technology granted by state council or board of technical education established by a state government. Okay, the list goes on. So based on if they fit into any of this educational parameters, they are very much eligible to be selected as a technician apprentice and technician vocational apprentice. So for technician vocational apprentice, a certificate in vocational course apprentice, which involves 2 years of study after the completion of the school secondary stage of school education. Okay, and they recognize the sandwich course. Just a minute, just give me a few minutes. Sorry.
Pramila, screen actually move agala. I think you will have to reshare the screen again.
Sorry to interrupt. I think a few people could not able to see my screen. Can you just ping me like whether you could able to, were you able to see the screen which I have shared actually from the PowerPoint? Oh, sorry. 1 minute. I'll just reshare my screen. Okay, so can anyone confirm that whether you could see any Excel sheet? Can you confirm the chat? So no one can able to see. Fine, fine. Okay, yeah. Someone is suggesting me to share the entire screen. Yeah, I will do. Yeah, thank you. Hopefully this is now visible now. Can anyone confirm? Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Fine. So I'll just repeat one more time. Okay, so there is, what do you say, that the government has set few educational parameters for each trade. Okay, so I'm giving one example. Okay, so group number 5 is building and furniture trade group. Okay, so this is one. group of trade. Okay, so under this group we can see different types of designated trades, like for example carpenter, plumber, mason. Okay, the list goes on. Okay, for to select an apprentice as a carpenter, he should fulfill this education qualification. Okay, so the past eighth standard class passed, and 10 plus 2 system of education, or its equivalent like past 7th class where terminal examination is in class 7th. So they have given the desirable education qualification wherein before selecting an apprentice, they have to fulfill all this education qualification. Okay, so for plumber they have set of qualification, similarly for mason. Okay, the list goes on. So what we have to understand is, before selecting any apprentice or any individual as an apprentice for any specific trade, we have to understand whether that person or the individual fulfills the basic education qualification. Okay, fine. And similarly for graduate technician, vocational technician also, the government has prescribed the list of what do you say, that education qualification which is required. So can you able to the Excel sheet? I'm sharing one more Excel. Can you just confirm whether the screen is visible? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So here for graduate apprentice, the minimum qualification is a degree in engineering or technology, which is being granted by an approved, recognized university. Okay. And for technician apprentice, a diploma holder in engineering or technology granted by a recognized institution by the state government also. And for technician vocational, they have to hold a diploma vocational course, a certificate in vocational course. Okay, so that has to be at least minimum 2 years of period. And this includes a sandwich course also. When you say sandwich course, the course itself has apprenticeship training as in the curriculum. Okay, so that is called as sandwich course. So these are all the what do you say, that the government, the act lists the educational qualification which has to be met out before selecting any apprenticeship in the organization. Okay, so apart from after selecting this what is it, apprentice, they have to undergo the physical fitness test. Okay, there is an n number of lists which is being specified under schedule 2. Okay, so when you refer to schedule 2, it mentions about the skin test, the eye test, even the respiratory test, and the apprentice should not have any contagious disease, or they have prescribed norms for which the apprentice has to be subjected for all this medical fitness test, and unless they are being they pass out all this physical fitness only, they are eligible to be selected as an apprentice. Okay, and there are few set of conditions which we cannot select as an apprentice. Okay, so what is it? Engineering graduate or diploma holder or a vocational certificate holder who have more than 1 years of experience. Okay, or 1 years of training also, which is prior to the, I mean, apply, which I mean before applying for the apprenticeship, they should not possess a 1 year of more than 1 year of experience. So they are not eligible to be selected as an apprentice. Okay, and students who have completed final exam of sandwich course, they are also not eligible to selected as an apprentice. Okay, and few other people will be there who have been already being engaged as an apprentice in any other establishment, like a graduate apprentice or a technician or a technician vocational. They would have terminated the contract on their part. Okay, so in that case, they are not eligible to be selected as a apprentice. Okay. So while selecting the apprentice, there are few norms, like there is a quota that has to be filled. Okay. So the employer has to make sure that they reserve a quota for SC, ST, other backward classes, and even persons with disabilities also. They have to be given the opportunities. Okay. So they have to comply with the appropriate state ratio. Okay. So I'll just show the list of what do you say? This list will give an idea like what is the ratio of having this SC, ST and other backward classes. Okay, so each states they have their own ratio. They have to comply with that. So while selecting the apprenticeship, they have to ensure that they fulfill this ratio. Okay. So similarly, when they engage any persons with physically challenged, instead of calling them as a disabilities, people with physically challenged, they have to provide appropriate infrastructure facilities for them at the shop floor also and in the classroom training. So when you say that also, even the, what do you say, that the washroom facilities, moving inside the shop floor, all these things has to be provided appropriately before being engaging any physically challenged people in the establishment. Okay. And what employer, before, I mean, the employer, as an employer, they have to disclose what is the trade wise requirement in the portal, apprenticeship portal, and their company's own portal. Okay. See, for example, they have if they require electrician, means like they can mention how, in what ratio they require people from the SC ST background, or people who have the backward classes or physically challenged. They can mention that we are giving preference for these people. Okay, so that they can clearly mention. They can mention the education qualification. All these they can mention in the apprenticeship portal, and the, if they have a company website, they can post the requirement of the apprentice in the company website too. Okay, so once all this selection process for apprenticeship has been gone through, before starting the training program, they have to ensure that they have a contract between the employer. We cannot say that as employer, between the establishment and the apprenticeship. Okay, so the contract, as a standard model contract, is being specified. So they have to comply with that standard model contract, which includes the terms and conditions, what are the obligations from the employer side and the apprenticeship. Okay, so it nothing but it mentions about the working hours, the leave, and the training hours, from which date the training starts and which date the training ends, and how long, what is the duration, exact duration of the training program, how many hours for the, or do you say, that instruction training, classroom training, and the practical training. So all these details will be covered in this, and the disciplines also, how many leaves they can avail, what are the terms and conditions they have to comply with as an apprentice. Okay, so how long they can remain in leave, okay, or unauthorized leave, is it allowed or not. All these things will be prescribed in the terms and conditions. Okay, so, and one point we have to make sure that no apprentice is liable to comply, or they don't fall under the scope of any labor laws. Okay, so we cannot speak any labor laws inside the contract. Okay. So once the contract is agreed and signed upon, this has to be uploaded in the portal for approval, for registration. Okay. So here there is a norm for every trade, the apprenticeship training, how long the training period can prolong. Okay, so there is it has been specifically mentioned in the Act. This is referring to the designated trade. Okay, so this is I mean, I am referring to this as a designated trade, means like this is government notified. Okay, so I am coming back to the same example. Okay, so you can see this Excel sheet wherein, is my screen Excel sheet is visible? I just want to have a confirm. Can anyone ping me? I'm again sharing back the Excel sheet. Yeah, fine. Thank you. Fine. Okay, so here, if you could see this Excel sheet, like left side, you can see the designated trade. Under the building and furniture trade group, you can see the list like carpenter, plumber, mason, furniture and cabinet maker, sports goods maker, lift mechanic, architectural assistant, building maintenance technician, interior decorator, and designer. So these are the list of designated trade under this group. Okay, so here, if this is the NCO code, NCO means National Classification of Occupational Code. So each trade, designated trade, they have their own code, and the period of apprenticeship is 3 years for the carpenter. And once he completes this 3 years period, he becomes a carpenter. And the rebate allowed, suppose in case he has got what do you say, that diploma or something which has got higher education qualifications, 1 year of rebate is being allowed, means like instead of having 3 years of training period, he can undergo 2 years of training period. Okay, so based on this, the training program has to be fixed for the selected apprentice. Okay, so all these details has to be captured in the contract. Okay, and the start date and then date has to be updated, specifically updated in the portal by the employer. So in not necessarily that the apprenticeship can be completed within the specified time limit. Okay, there are few circumstances under which they may not be able to complete the training program within the specified period. Okay, so what all the exceptional cases means, if the apprentice fell sick, okay, or he is in a continuous illness for a long duration of period, this apprenticeship period, training period can be extended. Okay, and in case the trade apprentice, he has failed the final test of exam, that training period can also be extended for that particular individual. Okay, and in case few establishment, they may undergo a strike or lockout or layoff. Okay, in that case it is not fault of an apprentice, so they can extend that. How many days has been lost due to because of strike or lockout or layoff, I mean, similar such dates can be extended for completing the training program. Okay, and in case if the strike and lockout is indefinite, they can go for novation of contract. What do you mean by novation of contract? Okay, the contract can be switched over to the other establishment. For example, we'll take that example of carpenter. He has completed 2 years of training. Okay, so on the third year, he is coming across an indefinite strike in the present establishment. The balance 1 year, he can continue to train, continue to have the training in the other establishment. He can switch to the other establishment. The contract, the balance 1 year contract can be switched to the other establishment, and he can complete the training of 1 year, balance 1 year training in the other establishment. Okay, so that is called novation of contract. So this can happen only because of continued strike or lockout for indefinite period. Okay, so termination of contract. Okay, so how a contract, when does the contract comes to termination? Okay, so one is on the expiry of the training period, the contract will automatically get terminated. Okay, and in few cases, either the employer, sorry, not the employer, the establishment or the employer side, they can also submit an application, and even the apprentice also can submit an application. A mutual application can be submitted to the advisor requesting for terminating the contract of the training program. Okay, and in case if both the employer and the apprentice fail to fulfill the obligations or the conditions which has been met out, I mean, which has been spelled in the, which has been mentioned in the contract, if they fail to fulfill all those conditions, they can go for the contract can be terminated. So in case if the employer opts for terminating the contract means he has to pay a stipend, 3 months last drawn stipend to the apprentice. Okay, so if the apprentice he wants to terminate the contract, he has to refund the whatever the cost of training that has been what do you say, borne by the government and the employer. Okay, so he has to bond the cost of the training. He has to repay or he has to refund the training cost. Okay, so this is how the termination of the contract happens. Okay, so for those apprentices, how who has to teach, how they have to teach, and who is eligible to teach them. Okay, so there is a prescribed norms. Okay, this norms is being prescribed under Schedule 4A. Okay. Okay, hope my screen is visible. Can I have a confirmation from you? Sorry. Yeah, fine, thank you. So I'm going to show one more Excel sheet wherein we can, not Excel sheet, it's one more screen where you can see the qualification which is required to be as an instructor for the apprentice. Okay, so this you can see, and how many instructors can be, for example, for every 16 apprentice, one instructor has to be posted. Okay, and one drawing instructor for every 150 apprentice, one drawing instructor the employer has to post. Okay. And for every 150 apprentice, one instructor, means like the shop floor instructor has to be posted. Okay. And what all the desirable qualifications they have specified, these are all the desirable educational qualification for the instructor. Okay. So the employer has to fulfill, before selecting anyone as an instructor for apprenticeship training, he has to make sure that he fulfills all these qualifications, and the ratio of the instructor also he has to comply with this norm. Okay, so for every 16 one apprentice, sorry, 16 apprentice, one trade instructor has to be posted. So this staffing pattern the employer has to follow. Okay. So once the training is completed, okay, so the employer has every right to absorb that apprentice in his regular employment. Okay. So accordingly, the employer can frame a recruitment policy. Okay. And apart from that, the employer has to disclose the what do you say, the details once in a quarter. Okay, so the intention of engaging apprentice in his establishment, he has to post that in the portal for every once in a quarter. Okay, so for the period between 1st of April to 30th June, one quarter, and for 1st of July to 30th October, sorry, 30th September, and 1st of October to 31st December, and 1st of January to 31st March. So this has to be posted in the apprenticeship portal. Okay. So employer has to maintain a record. Okay, few records, mandatory records. One is the attendance register of the apprentice. Okay, so he has to mark the attendance details of the apprentice, how many days he has availed leave, and how many days he has availed casual leave and medical leave. All these details has to be maintained, and this has to be submitted to the relevant authorities. Okay. And apprentice record of progress. A record of progress means like he has to record how far the apprentice is progressing in his training program. Okay, so suppose in case if the apprentice is weak in any one specific competency or skill, means he may suggest that retraining of that particular skill set is required or not. All these things has to be recorded in the record of progress. Okay. And the half-yearly returns has to be submitted by the employer. Okay, what happens, what all the details he has to submit in the half-yearly return is like what do you say, the how many apprentice has been engaged for the period past 6 months, and he has to mention how many people with the physically challenged they have been engaged, how many SC, ST, and how many backward classes, and what is their education qualifications, if anyone has undergone any all India trade test, have they passed or have they failed. All these details has to be provided in this half yearly return. Okay, and similarly in the quarterly report they have to submit the attendance details of the apprentice, how far he is progressing. All these details has to be submitted to the relevant authorities on quarterly basis. Okay, so the coming forth slides will help you to understand how often they have to submit. Okay, so for the period between 16th of Jan to April 15, they have to submit the report on 30th of April. And for 16th of April to 15th of July, 31st of July. And for from 16th of July to 15th of October, 31st of October. And from 16th of October to 15th of January, 31st of January, they have to submit to the Director Regional Board of Apprenticeship Training. Okay, so this is a mandatory records which the employer has to comply with that. They have to submit to the relevant authorities at the periodically. Okay, apart from that, what employer has to do is he has to, suppose in case if any disciplinary action is being taken against that apprentice also, that also has to be recorded and maintained by the employer. Okay, so the act provides for two training opportunities for any individual. Okay, they can avail two different designated trades of training under this act. Okay, maximum of two only it is allowed. So before having this two different training program, a minimum gap period, a time gap should be there. Okay, a minimum 1 year of time gap is required before taking up another training. Okay, so in case if the previous contract is being terminated by the employer, there is no such specified period is mentioned. Okay, And in case if the apprentice is facing any hardships, like financially if he is facing any hardships, or if there is any language barrier to understanding the training program, or if he finds it difficult to relocate himself from one place to another, they are providing a 3 months time gap within which he can switch over to the other establishment or the employer. Okay. And in case of women, there is no such specified timeline or gap is being mentioned. They can switch over immediately. Okay. So, and government can bear the expenses for the first training program alone. Okay. So, not for the second. Okay. And those people who are not eligible for the second training program is people who have terminated the contract as because of not fulfilling the terms and conditions of the contract. They are not eligible to go for a second training program. Okay. Okay, so what is a stipend? The prescribed minimum stipend that is supposed to be paid by the employer is for those people whose education qualification is between 5th to 9th, it is 6,800 per month, and class 10th is 8,200 per month, and class 12th is 9,600 per month. And those holding a certificate, state or national certificate holder, 9,600 per month. And for a technical vocational apprentice who is holding any certificate, and for sandwich course students also 9,600 per month. And for technician apprentice or diploma holder in any stream of a sandwich course from any degree from any institutions means that is 10,900. And for graduates, it is 12,300 per month. Okay, this is the prescribed minimum stipend amount the employer has to pay the apprenticeship. Okay, it should not be less than that. Okay, so how the stipend can be paid? Okay, so the apprentice has to provide all the bank account details which is linked with Aadhaar number, and the stipend is directly credited to his bank account. Okay, so that payment has to be made on 10th date on or before 10th date of the next calendar month. Okay, and there should be no deductions for casual leave or medical leave, which is enjoyed similarly by the on-roll employees. Okay, and in case the employer can defer the payment of stipend, when they can defer the payment of stipend is, suppose in case if they pay the amount of stipend paid is beyond the limit of minimum amount means they can hold the amount which is beyond the minimum prescribed amount. They can hold it and they can pay later on. Okay, so that is called deferred payment, that is being allowed actually. Okay, and when can they stop the payment? Okay, so the employer, they cannot decide on their own. Okay, they have to take the advice, they have to take the concern from the advisor, the appropriate state advisor, and then only they can go for stopping the payment of stipend. Okay. Okay. So once they have completed the training program, they have to undergo the test. Okay. So the trade apprentice, they have to undergo the test, which is conducted by the National Council of Apprenticeship. And they have to take the test, they have to take the assessment, and they have to be certified by the National Council of the Apprenticeship. Okay. And same goes for the graduate and technician apprentice and technician vocational apprentice. They have to once they complete the training program, they can obtain the certificate from the regional apprenticeship board. Okay, so it's not everyone, whoever may be, whatever may be the trade. Okay, they have to undergo the assessment uh, to ensure that they have completed the training program. Okay, so they have to pass that assessment also. So once they pass that assessment, they are being eligible to be recruited as an employee in any establishment. Okay. So far we have seen what all the prescribed norms as an employer they have to comply, and as an apprentice they have to comply with the apprenticeship training program. Okay. So now we are having a glance through of optional trade. Okay. So optional trade is something which an employer they can customize based on their requirement. Okay. So even for that optional trade, there are few things which an employer has to comply with that. Okay, so the minimum education qualification is 8th standard, or they have to have the minimum qualification of 8th standard, and the age is should not be less than 14 years of age, And in case if the establishment or the industry is having an hazardous activity, means the minimum age limit is it should not be less than 18 years. They have to complete 18 years of age, okay, to be selected as an apprentice in that particular establishment. And the course duration, maybe it may be from 6 months period to maximum of 6 years period, okay. And the apprentice, they have to maintain a work diary, okay. They have to maintain the work diary in the sense like they have to record, or like for between this period to this period, what all the skill set he has learned, okay. So what progress has made, that work diary has to be maintained by the apprentice, okay. And what is the time working hours for the apprentice, okay. Normally whichever the department they are being posted with, the department working hours will be applicable for the apprentice also, okay. But the point here is they should not be engaged between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. period, okay. Means like they cannot be engaged in the night shift, okay. And moreover, they cannot be engaged in the overtime also, okay. They cannot be engaged in the night shift. They cannot be engaged for the overtime also, okay. If at all there is a requirement wherein the apprentice has to be engaged in the overtime period to complete the training program, means they have to take the consent from the advisor, the state board advisor, and then only they can engage the apprentice for the overtime, okay. And the stipend also should be minimum rates as notified by the appropriate state government. That amount has to be paid to the apprentice, okay. So once they complete the program, a proficiency certificate can be given by the employer, okay. And moreover, apart from this, whatever the contract they have signed between, what all the terms and conditions they have mentioned, they have to fulfill all those terms and conditions. So that is mandatory, okay. So if anywhere any party fails to fulfill the obligations, means they cannot, what do you say, that this apprenticeship program cannot be complied, fully continued and completed. And they have to take the, if there is any dispute on this, means they have to take it forward to the appropriate state board advisor, okay. So we have seen for quite a lot of compliances what are supposed to be complied under this act, okay. In case if the employer, a few penalties which the employer failed to comply with that, okay. The one more foremost thing is, if they are not fulfilling the desired slot, okay, if there is a shortfall of the number of seats which the employer failed to fulfill, to select the apprentice and give a training program, means for every shortfall they have to pay rupees 500 for first 3 months, and if this continues for subsequently, means they have to pay 1,000 for each month till that vacancy gets filled, okay. And apart from that, if there is any offense, if they have to pay a penalty of rupees 1,000, which is minimum amount, and to a maximum of 3,000 as a penalty to the authorities, okay. So far we have seen what is specified under the Act as Apprentice Act. We have seen all the uh, compliance requirement under the Apprenticeship Act. So under this Act, there are two different schemes which is being announced by the government. Okay, so one is National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, shortly we call as a NAPS, and National Apprenticeship Training Scheme, shortly we call as a NATS. Okay, so this scheme, the establishment, they can choose any of those schemes as per their requirement, which is conveniently fits into their requirement, okay. So this is left to the establishment whether they want to get enrolled under the NAPS or NATS, okay. So we are going to have a quick glance of this schemes to have an idea what it is exactly, okay. So this NAPS is launched during the year 2016 by the government of India. So essentially this scheme provides a financial support to the establishment, okay. So two components we can see. One is they can get a reimbursement of 25% from the prescribed stipend amount, okay, subject to a maximum of 1,500 per month per apprentice, okay. And second component is they can get the reimbursement for the cost of basic training, okay. So maximum they can get a reimbursement of 7,000 per 100 for a maximum of 500 hours for the particular training course, okay. So this is two financial benefit which the employer can avail under the NAPS. So how the employer can avail this? Like they should have some eligibility to avail the scheme. Okay, so one is they should have a valid in TAN and they should get registered themselves under EPFO, ESIC, and they should have LIN also. And apart from that, if the government is asking for any other identification means they have to provide by the employer has to provide. Okay, and they can have a Aadhaar linked bank account. So what is the benefit of having this NAMP means like the industries or the establishments, they can customize their training program. They can design and customize the training program as per the requirement of business. Okay. So they can conduct and they can meet out the shortfall of the skill in the labor market. Okay. So once they keep training the people, they can have a skill set which is very familiar to their culture. Okay. So which is very flexible also. Okay, so it helps them to retain them for a long period of time. Okay, and once they are being retained for a long period, ultimately the attrition rate also will get reduced actually. Okay, and moreover they have to know, don't go for extra investment of recruitment also. Okay, there's a reduced recruitment cost, and moreover they are enjoying a financial support from the government also. Okay, so this is the benefit of having a NAPS. Okay, it all depends on the establishment whether they have to go for the SNAP scheme or they can choose a NAT scheme. Okay, so what is NATS? NATS is also a scheme which, what do you say, that helps to get the people to get trained at the different dates. Okay, it helps to create a talent pool in the labor market. Okay, so it provides on-the-job training for the freshers. So freshers, they can go for training under the NATS scheme. So what are the key features of NATS is like the statutory stipend, 50% of the statutory stipend is being directly credited to the beneficiary through DBT. DBT means direct beneficiary transfer. Okay. So for example, the ceiling amount is 4,500 and not beyond that. Okay. So for example, 9,000 is the stipend amount means 4,500 employer can pay from his account, and the balance 4,000 is being paid by the government directly to the beneficiary. Okay, and the training period may last from 6 months to 1 year period, and the employer has a sufficient time to observe how the apprentice is performing during the training period. Okay, so he is having a sufficient time to observe his performance, and based on his performance he can comfortably select whether to decide on whether he can be selected to be on a regular payroll. Okay, so these are all the features of NATS. Okay, so to get enrolled under the NATS, there are a few things which the employer has to provide in the portal. Okay, so first they have to have give a brief introduction of the company, how many employees are engaged, whether they are on roll or contract, and their company incorporation certificate. They have to provide their PAN and TAN number and their previous year IT returns. And obviously, all the establishments, they have to have this internal committee and the POSH. So they have to provide the details of the committee. If there is any report is also, they can upload the report on the portal. And what are the training modules are available in the establishment. Okay, and they should provide an official contact number to receive the OT and the email ID also. So these are all few details which is mandatorily required for the an employer to get enrolled under the scheme. Okay. So these are all the portals wherein the employer has to mandatorily get registered into the apprenticeship to avail this, to select an apprentice and to get registered, and the contract has to be uploaded. And similarly, an apprentice also has to get registered in the portal and he has to provide all his details. So this is a mutual connection. This portal will act as a bridge between the establishment and the apprentice. Okay, so they have to visit this portal, they have to get registered themselves, and they can get the mutual benefit. Okay, so we have come to the end of this session. So hope you were able to understand whatever that has been communicated. So this is now we have a brief question and answer sessions. If you have any questions, you can post it in the chat. I think you have a feedback also. I request all the participants to participate in this feedback. It will help us to fine tune, and it helps us understand what is your expectations also. So if you have any questions, you can post in the chat. So this is from PD. I understand we can hire NAPS for 3 years. Is it still valid as there has been some recent amendments in Apprentice Act? Can you please clarify? So your question, what is in you are saying that whether we can select apprentice for 3 years, or you are saying hiring. Hiring is something you are bringing it under the role of the establishment. Okay. So the thing is, like, after providing the training, they can absorb in the mainstream. Okay. So that is for sure you can do that. We want to know about the processing portal now. See, that is this is question is from 1 minute. Just give me time. This is from Prabhakaran. We want to know about the processing portal. Yes, that is, we can have a separate session on the portal, how to handle the portal and all. Okay. So we'll take this as one of our requirement for the subsequent sessions. Okay. And one more question. Is there any? 1 minute, give me. So one of you are asking presentation. Yes, we can share. If apprentice left during apprenticeship so this is from Ajay Kotari. If apprentice left during apprenticeship by obtain other opportunity or other reasons, can we engage other apprentice? Yes, you can go for engaging other apprentice. Okay. For full year again, obviously he's a new individual, right? He has to be trained right from beginning. Okay, so this cannot be he's a separate individual. You have given training program, half of the training to that individual, and this training program balance you cannot give to the fresher. Okay, he has to be started right from the beginning. Okay, so this is from Venu Gopal. Can't we engage the apprentices in night shift if the factory is working in shifts? No, you have to see, the thing is, you have to get the permission. You have to take the consent from the appropriate state advisor. Okay, so then only you can engage him in the night shift. Okay, you have to take the, see, there is no totally, we cannot say that is not denied, but the act is giving you a chance to get the consent from the respective authority and engage him in the night shift. See, they are not into core production. Okay, so they are being here to be provided with the training. They are not involved in the core production of the establishment. Okay. Okay, this is from, is there any, this is from Ruby. Is there any gap required between two trainings in optional trade? See, the act says there should be a minimum of 1 year. Okay, so nowhere it is discriminating whether it is a designated trade or an optional trade. Okay, so the thing is, they cannot have the same the training program on the same field, but they can have it in the different trades, but a minimum gap of 1 year is mandatory. Okay, and this question is from Krishna Kumar. Are they eligible for maternity benefit during the apprenticeship training? See, I clearly told, okay, there is no labor law being covered for apprentice. Okay, and Shobna, how many days we can give them leave? Okay, so see, the casual leave, medical leave, whatever you are providing for the permanent employees, that benefit you can give to the apprentice. And this question is from Ruby. Can we hire an apprentice who has absconded from a previous apprenticeship program? No. The Act clearly says that whoever has terminated on their own, you cannot select for the other, the no employer should select. Okay. Can we have PPT? Okay, so we can, Ajay Kotar, if apprentice left during, okay, I think I have answered this question. Okay, this is from Preeti. We will get reimbursement for terminated apprentice. See, the question is, on what basis you have terminated. Okay, so this is a dispute. If you have a dispute on this, this has to be discussed with the appropriate state advisor, and then only you will get to know whether you can get that reimbursement. Okay, on what grounds it has been terminated. Okay, that is very much important. Okay, and Prabhakaran, nowadays we are stuck in the portal process. Please address to the authorities. Rather, there are some challenges in the portals. Will we have to get in touch with? Yes, please. You have to get in touch with the relevant authorities to get it resolved. I think we have come to the end of the session. So if you have still more questions, you can post it. For one more question from Ruby. For absconded cases, we receive notification post sharing the contract. How can we identify the apprentice as absconded? See, if there is no information from the apprentice for quite a long period, it is a total, what do you say, that you can consider it as an abscond, right? You can report to the concerned authorities about this. Okay, so that is why you are submitting the quarterly report about their attendance details. Okay, so from there itself, you can clearly mention to the authority and take it forward for further action. And Jatin Gupta, recent change in law allowing an apprentice to work with one organization for only a year before switching. How should organization manage this effectively? Recent change in law allowing an apprentice to work with one organization for only a year before switching. No, I don't think so. They can see apprentice is meant for training. Okay, they cannot work anywhere. Fine. So thank you so much. If you still have any further queries, you can post your questions. Yeah. Thank you so much. So I'm ending the sessions. Thank you for the feedback.